Goeiedag. Good day, fellow South Africans. And in this fascinating exchange, which involves the VBS, which is basically bankrupt, that bank which has been supposedly out there to support the poor and impoverished people of South Africa. In the exchange you'll see in Parliament, it turns out that Ramaphosa's son was a beneficiary from the VBS, but he tries to legitimize that. But right at the end comes the sting in the tail. Now, you know how the ANC have had their heads in the swill, cleaning out the VBS, taking money, and the EFF, the goons, have been doing the same, including Malema. Now, Malema asks a question at the end of Ramaphosa, after he's put on the spot about his son getting money from the VBS, R500,000 no less. And he says, oh no, like, if the bank, the VBS bank, mutual bank, cleans up its act, we will pull it out of the proverbial. And guess how they'll do that? They'll use the South African Reserve Bank to throw a couple of billion rand into the VBS to keep it afloat, and then cover up all the payments that have gone to politicians in South Africa. You know who the big losers are going to be, regardless? Are the municipalities. Because they will bail out this bank because it's expedient politically for them, because it covers their asses. That's the politicians' asses, including the EFF and the ANC mainly, but I think other politicians are involved. But if you watch the video that is attached, you will see how corrupt the South African government is. And I'm talking right from the top, from Ramaphosa going all the way down. And rumor has it Ramaphosa already has acquired a couple of lovely game farms. I don't know how he did that, but apparently it's a fact. And this is how politics in South Africa works. It is so corrupt. That country is going to go. All right, guys, remember to subscribe to be kept informed, and have a lovely day. Bye for now.
Mr. President, I think I agree with you that what took place at VBS was a complete disgrace. In this particular instance, these are politically connected people who stole money from poor South Africans and their life savings, where the rich are protected and they steal from the poor and the unemployed. This culture is pervasive, Mr. President, for those who are on the inside connected to the ANC and those who are on the outside, which are poor people. Now, Mr. President, here, I hold a proof of payment that was transferred to say R500,000 rands need to be transferred to a trust account called EFG2 on the 18th of October last year. This was allegedly put for your son, Andile Ramaphosa. Following on to that, Mr. President, I have a sworn affidavit from Piet Venter stating that he was asked by the CEO of Bosasa that he must make this transfer for Andile Ramaphosa. Mr. President, we can't have family members benefiting. I would want to ask you right here today that you will bring our nation into confidence and please set the record straight on this matter, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
The Honorable the President.
No, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Maimani. This matter was brought to my attention. It was brought to my attention some time ago, and I proceeded to ask my son what this was all about. And he runs a business as a financial consultancy business. And he consults for a number of companies, and one of those companies is Bosasa, where he provides services on entrepreneurship, particularly on the procurement process, and he advises both local and international companies. And this payment, I can assure you, Mr. Maimani, that I asked him at close range whether this was money that was obtained illegally, unlawfully, and he said this was a service that was provided, and to this end, he actually even showed me a contract that he signed with Bosasa, and the contract and the contract also deals with issues of integrity, issues of anti-corruption, and all that.
Order. Order, honorable members. Let's listen to the answer of the president. Kuba President.
Now, on this one, I have made sure that I get the information as much as I can, and he is running a clear and honest business as an advisory service, as he has been trained with his business science as a consultant. So I have had no idea or inkling whatsoever in what he has informed me that these monies were obtained illegally. And if it turns out, Mr. Maimani, I can assure you, if it turns out that there is any illegality and corruption in the way that he has dealt with this matter, I will be the first, absolutely first, to make sure that he becomes accountable. Even if it means, I can assure you, even if it means that I'm the one who will take him to the police station, that I will be able to do, because I am clear about that. And I can let you something else. I have told my children that you do not do any business with a state-owned enterprise. You do not do any business with government. That's what I've told them. But I do know, yes, they listen to me, but I do know from time to time some of these errors, some of these activities can surface. But the filter that I want you to know I apply as their father is that if there is any illegality, if there's any corruption, I am going to be the first one and take them, if need be, to jail myself. That I will do, because I will not allow that. That's what I want you to know.
The Honorable Mulibatsi. The Honorable Mulibatsi. What's happening? Okay, can I call on Honorable Makadla?
Okay, Minister, there's no further question. That's nice.
So these were false, okay.
Yes.
Honorable Malema.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mr. President, we wrote a letter to Honorable Blade Nzimande to ask him if the VBS paid 3 million to Beachwood Hotel for the Communist Party conference. And we're expecting him to answer truthfully and honorably. But the point I'm standing here, Honorable President, is that if the answer you gave is an acceptable answer to your colleagues, then the same answer stands with Brian Shibam. Because it cannot be that if it's your children with contracts and invoices and they can account for the work they've done, it's acceptable. But when it comes to Brian Shibambo, it's a different matter altogether. But my question is, Mr. President, this bank, having formed by the father of the current king, worked very well under the Bantustan, provided services to our people which commercial banks do not provide to rural people. Today we find ourselves in this situation. Do we close down the school because the principal and the management stole the money of the school fees, and not only the school fees, vandalized the school? Once we come to that conclusion that they've stolen, they've even vandalized the school, do we close the school or do we arrest the culprit and save the school?
The Honorable the President.
Well, I think that's a good question. But before I get to that, Honorable Malema, let me come back to this one. The question that was asked by Honorable Maimani about my son, Andil, has nothing to do with VBS. I think that should be clear. It has to do with Bosasa. So he has not been involved in VBS. VBS is a different matter now. I think the question that Honorable Malema is raising is a very good question. Do we close down the school because the principal has been involved in shenanigans and what have you? And clearly on that we say no. Now, I am one of those, Honorable Malema, who have a great deal of affection and almost loyalty to the VBS, because I've known about VBS way back because it operated in the place where my parents grew up and where I am from originally. Now, the problem with it is that it is laden with a great deal of debt. And the only way to clean it up is to put it into liquidation. However, the notion, the idea of a VBS, in my view, should remain alive, because that is a bank, as you correctly say, that served people in the rural areas, that served the poor, and that is the bank that many poor people in the rural areas had a great deal of confidence in, much more than many other banks. So I would say in the end, we should revive VBS, maybe 2, raise it from the ashes, and re-establish a VBS which is clean, which will operate along the principles that the original VBS was established for. Once we've cleaned up this mess, I would support that VBS should be re-established and should rise from the ashes. So I agree with you on that score. And you should be applauding Tate Malema. How?